What's up, you nerds? Welcome back. This is Yellow Spandex. Today we got some Terminator talk to be done because Dark Fate just came out. We all watched it together, actually. So we're going to take probably, I would say, a good half of this show and just talk about all the Terminator things and things that surround that. We also jump into the new Sonic trailer that just popped. Crazy actually, and we contrasted between both the old and the new, so you guys get to watch that with us and get to hear our comments, and we would love to hear your comments as well. And then we finish off with a little bit of Disney Plus and everything that kind of surrounded that as well. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. Thanks for all you new guys that are coming in. Appreciate it. Welcome to the Yellow Spandex family, and here we go.
We were just we were just watching Little Mermaid live clips.
Yeah, what an interesting production.
I think the individual performances were great. I didn't watch the whole thing in one piece, but like the greatest criticism I have from the outside was Shaggy, if you're going to be Sebastian the Crab, you have to be a crab.
You got dressed like a crab.
Especially if the rest of the cast is dressed as crabs.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I want a red, shiny.
I want to look
suit.
like Michael Jackson.
That was the thing. Most people were like, it's not even that it was a cooler outfit. It just looked like a reject Power Ranger B-movie thing.
Like he's like, and we don't care that you have a shellfish thing. Not just playing. I don't even know if he has a shellfish thing. I just think it'd be funny if he's like, I'm allergic.
I am allergic.
Anyway, is this the one where we're talking about Sonic?
Well, we figure we'd
sure.
start off talking about actually the Terminator.
Oh, okay.
The new Terminator movie, and then kind of halfway through, we wanted to watch the Sonic trailer. These guys have watched it. I haven't watched it yet. And then we're gonna finish off with some. I already forgot.
I don't know.
Disney Plus has been released.
That's about the extent I know about it.
So
There's actually
so
quite a bit of news this week. So
yeah, we'll jump into it.
So Terminator Dark Fate is Terminator 3 Take 12.
yeah.
Or how many has it been? It's been like 3 or 4 times now, right?
Well, we got 1, 2, Rise of the Machines, Salvation, Genesis.
Yep.
This Dark Fate. So that's 7.
Yeah.
No, 6.
And they're all like number 3 remakes?
Yeah, I mean, the one episode we went through, we saw that all of them have different continuity except for the first 2.
Right.
The first 2 are always together.
So I finally got to see some other friends or acquaintances like react to this thing. Like, so our friend Gary, him and his dad are like the biggest Terminator fans. They bonded from his childhood, father and son with Terminator T2 and stuff. And they were like, they had a lot of fun. They were actually really sad that it's tanking. So I was like, okay, well, there's that take. So I kind of thought that too. I was like, it seemed like a Terminator movie, besides missing the horror element. But then Andre the Black Nerd kind of broke down all the missed opportunities. And that may be what people are like disappointed in.
Yes.
Like they were saying, like, to kill John Connor at the beginning, spoilers, by the way, like they did as a young kid, there's like that there needed to be like a real big reason why.
Exactly.
And there really wasn't.
You've been attached to this person for every single movie, and now we're just getting rid of him.
Well, they also said like it kind of like nullified the effect that the first 2 movies had.
Yeah, exactly.
But
why watch the first 2 movies now if you know he's going to die?
Well, but also like it didn't happen for like a really great reason. It wasn't like that needed to happen for another future. Like that was one of the opportunities Andre brought up. He was like, well, if they could have proven that like since John Connor died, then this girl that's in this movie, spoilers again, who ends up being like the one, only makes it harder for the machines. And then every time they go back and kill one of them, it just makes it harder and harder. So like they figure out some domino effect there, and that would have been the opportunity. Then
that was the most confusing part of the movie for me because I didn't realize that they were like rewrote the timeline. The first thing you see is the scene from Terminator 1 where she's freaking,
Terminator 2.
Or Terminator 2 where she's freaking out talking about the dream she had, and everyone obviously is very super skeptic and thinks she's crazy and all this, and then it zips to like a monologue of her saying like she's had to kill all these Terminators, and she has been doing this all this time or whatever, and she escaped with John, and then John gets killed by a Terminator.
Yeah.
And she freaks out everything. So right away I was just like, whoa, this is like completely new. This isn't even anything that I've seen before, like as far as this timeline.
Yeah.
I was just super confused until later when Terminator, spoilers, when Terminator is old and later on, he kind of like tried to like blanket statement like why.
Well, I think like to address the first thing of them going back to T2, I think they, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Terminator the series has like conditioned the audience to just expect the new movie to be the next T3. Like I kind of expected that coming into this one because that's how Genesis was from what I remember and stuff in previous movies. Like I didn't know all of them were, but like I think it, for whatever reason, or even if it's not because they know it's a bad movie, that they're just trying to give alternate endings, you know, to or whatever.
They, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it seems that they kind of in this one did what they did in X-Men movie, where Kitty Pryde brings Wolverine back into the past, Days of Future Past, where it basically wiped out the first two movies.
Yeah, but a couple of the Terminator movies have been like that, like where they kind of redid things and stuff. But the other thing that Andre pointed out was like he thought it would have been, and now that I hear him say this, I think it would have been exciting to see even as a casual fan. Instead of killing John right at the beginning, show a little montage of John growing up, continuously being hunted by different Terminators.
Yeah.
Because they acknowledge later that Sarah Connor has been like picking off these Terminators every few years.
Yeah.
And so they see those Terminators come back and try to get John, and then maybe when he's like 22 years old or like in his 30s, that then get picked off, and then that sets off the events of the movies, and that could still happen in the same amount of time that they did the original opening montage. I was like, oh, that would have been kind of crazy to show that John was on the run his entire life. That'd have been pretty dramatic, you know?
Yeah.
But to kill him off as a kid was kind of like, damn, okay. Like,
Yeah. I didn't exactly hate the movie, but I don't like after coming out of it and letting it sit for a while, I was like, it's not good either. Like, it's better than the last three.
I was gonna say I like this better than Genesis. That's the last one I remember.
Yeah.
This one to me didn't. I liked this one a lot. Like just overall, I thought it was a cool movie. But as far as like Terminator movies go, like if I want to be a stickler about it, it's not the best ones out there. For one reason, and mostly is the reason is because the other ones were able to like dive more into abstract concepts and characters and stuff like that, to where this was kind of just, it felt like a Transformers movie.
It did a little bit.
Yeah.
The good thing about this one though was we were just talking. It might have been in the last podcast about how like the '90s action movie aesthetics have kind of been lost, and this one totally brought it back in my eyes. It was like '90s action aesthetics, but like fully realized with like more more up to date HD CG and stuff. Because like, you know, they had like the singe marks on their skin and stuff like that. It's weird because there's that sweaty, singy aesthetic that, you know, like Die Hard and stuff had.
Yeah.
This one had that, but then the CG was like photorealistic, you know, like much better. So I kind of dug that.
I only think the one Terminator girl though, like the half girl, half human that came back. I think that's the only one that looked low, like she was getting dirty, sweaty, beat up. The other two like looked pretty nice the entire way through.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying like realistically. I'm just saying like the whole aesthetic of like looking like burned and sweaty throughout the movie and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't see that in movies a lot these days, and like this was the first one in a long time I've seen that was like that.
Damage and
Yeah.
Well, I was saying though, like the girl that they're trying to protect, she didn't really seem like she got damaged very much.
Yeah.
Like she looked like, oh, look, my hair looks pretty throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then the other lady, Linda, I can't remember her.
the Terminator girl,
No,
or not the or Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor. She, you know, had her like nice jacket on, like Miss, you know, your grandma or your mom or whatever it looked like the entire time.
Yeah. But I mean, I wasn't talking about like realism. I was saying like just like overall, and it's hard to explain.
Well,
it's something like that.
I agree with like
that
seeing
fire in the
battle
background look and stuff. Like it's like there's, you know, there's always like an orange aesthetic. I don't know. It's just like that. It looks like any still frame from Terminator Dark Fate looks like a still from like Die Hard or Last Action Hero or something. It was just like that. I don't know how to explain it. It just looks like everybody's always sweaty and then there's singe marks on them and stuff.
I think it was like after the plane scene where you see the chick that they're protecting, you know, she's got like cuts on her face and there's blood on her and stuff like that. That was like kind of like the only time I actually saw her take damage like that. But
Even though
otherwise,
she's like flying around the plane and getting like supposedly beat up.
well, there would have been a lot.
They're
more
like,
damage.
oh, she'll be fine. She's like banging around.
I mean,
the plane.
And the augment, she's the one like I was like totally in for because of the way her acting was, the battle damage she took, like the sweat on her. You could tell like she had to keep taking those shots because of the.
She was such a perfect casting too for that like cyborg kind of thing because she looks like just even her acting, her demeanor, like her look. She's built like so tall and stuff, like lanky and stuff, but like muscular. Like she looked like a super soldier. You know, like if there was ever going to be like a female Captain America in the MCU, I could picture that actress like.
Yeah, she had that stern look. Yeah,
she definitely worked out.
Work out.
Speaking of, so we're talking about characters. Characters were cool in this. It wasn't as expansive or crazy, like conceptually wise, as the other movies were. But the other thing I was going to say too was this: it was like a fast beginning and a fast end, but like a slow middle. And that's the first time for me in Terminator movies, because even in like T2, there's slow moments in the second act, but there's all this like interesting sci-fi things being delivered as far as like dialogue and like exposition.
I do like the little bit of meta-ness they had in it. Like one of my favorite comedic moments, there's like two main ones, but one of them was when what was Grace was the cyborg's name.
Yeah.
She grabbed Sarah Connor's phone. She's like, "What are you doing?" It's like future shit. I was like, "That's hilarious."
Yeah,
they're like, "We're just gonna skip over."
It's funny though. At the same time, she had to explain to him at the beginning, like, cell towers are everywhere. They'll figure you out. Like, but she's like, "Oh, future shit, whatever." Like,
she's like, "Let me hit these dim switches."
Well, that's why she kept it in the chip bag. So they were like risking. They were risking it by taking it out for that time, and stuff. But didn't Terminator like
he's like
he made a comment later. He's like, if you're gonna keep it in a chip bag, keep it in a chip bag. Yeah. So I think it connected back to like when they or one of the times that she'd pulled it out or whatever. It's like it doesn't do any good to keep it in a chip bag if you're not gonna leave it in there forever.
No,
kind of thing. Like he said something to that effect. He was like, if you're gonna keep it in a chip bag, keep it in a chip bag or something.
I thought, and I'm probably wrong because I just thought he meant like it didn't work.
Well, it didn't work because
like if. Like a chip bag's worthless.
Because I guess shit. Well, it just to me it was like, well, if you're gonna even if you had a perfect shield box, it's not gonna work the second you pull it out. And obviously she kept it with her because she's gonna use it periodically. Yeah. And so it's like to me, it's just funny to me at least. I need to go back and watch to see exactly what he said, but it was kind of like calling out the flaw and like the thing about trying to keep a phone but then shield it and stuff. It was like, what's the point if you're gonna use it? Like
did anybody else notice how slow the middle was?
I agree. It was a little bit slower in the middle,
and it was a lot. I mean, I get like grounding the movie in a universe, and like this is Earth, and like they're trying to play it off like it's a normal thing that they're in danger, but they're like it's a present day kind of feel, because they're like walking in the middle, like downtown on a road. If they're swapping vehicles, it felt very like cop and robber kind of like based in the real reality of Earth and everything, where like there's been like heavy sci-fi and futuristic technology and things happening in the other movies. This one felt more, I don't know, more like grounded, which to me took away from that middle part where they're traveling and talking.
What probably made it more like grounded feeling though is like all these old action stars for some reason just like retire in Arizona or New Mexico. Have like a South American like surrogate daughter and stuff, it's the same way Rambo was. It's like they all had lunch one day and they're like, you know what, we're gonna ride off into the sunset, literally. Like we're all gonna go to New Mexico, film our things, cross the border, like have these surrogate daughters.
Tax write-offs though for being in New Mexico.
Not just that though, it's like even like they both had like what actually was the girl in this one, was she Mexican as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So both Rambo and this one
Mexico.
They had this one, Rambo and Terminator Dark Fate both had like Mexican like adopted daughters in the situation and stuff. So interesting. Like it kind of shows the ideals of those old action stars. They're like, well, we're family guys now.
I after T2, like it brought it up to such like a high level of like intensity. Like the Terminator isn't just a robot anymore. He's liquid. You can't stop him, and like. I know it's harder for them to kind of like, okay, what's the next phase or whatever. And, I wasn't completely sold on the dual robot thing. It's still great. I think the guy that played Ghost Rider, that guy, I can't remember his name.
Gabriel Luna.
There you go. He did a great job.
Yeah.
An amazing job for it. Still like, it just didn't do, I think when you do too much, it takes you out of it. Like when it's not real enough, it takes you out of it a little bit.
It's so wild too because is it Rev 9 was that his?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Rev 9's whole thing about separating from his endoskeleton, that's a thing that Noob Saibot and MK11 does. And the studios are combined, Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if somebody from teams like, that's a cool thing.
I read a bunch of
do
things
it with this.
Let's do it with this.
A bunch of reviews saying that they thought he was like the weakest part of the movie and like
Really?
his acting and all that. And I was kind of thinking to myself,
robot.
Yeah, where they're like, he was too robotic. Okay.
I kept thinking to myself, like, well, you remember like the T-1000, like it was very like, glares and like stern looks, and then these like funny little like quippy responses when he's a cop and stuff like that. I thought he did exactly that, and Gabriel did exactly that in this movie. It's almost like he studied the T-1000. I forget that guy's name, the actor, but it's almost like he studied that
for a
role
while after that.
because just the mannerisms. The first thing I said when we left the theater was like the vocabulary, like the dialogue, and the Rev 9 all felt like that 90s nostalgic T2 movie. You know,
I know that he posted a bunch of stuff because I have him on Facebook, and he posted a bunch of stuff like him learning from Arnold. But I think you're kind of right. He probably should have learned from that dude a little bit more because Arnold, when he was T-800, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's a lot more like robotic.
Definitely.
And so maybe he should have been more like animated. But
Right,
I thought he did a good job
Actually,
for what he did.
I do kind of like the aged Terminator thing. I don't know if I completely buy the whole I grew a conscience thing.
Yeah.
But as far as his acting,
Yeah.
I feel like he was more believable as a robot in this one than the previous Terminator movies.
I was talking about Luna.
Yeah, I'm just like segueing to Arnold. Like,
Right. Well, and to add to that, at the end of T2, the T-800, like he ends up being the friend of Sarah Connor and like had grown a conscience. So I see where they kind of like grabbed that concept to pull into this one, because at the end, he's like disappearing in the lava or whatever, liquid metal, and he's waving, or and he gives the thumbs up, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was kind of
great.
hoping for that in this.
Yeah, there was a lot of those moments where like he was going to pick up the sunglasses, like in the first one,
That was a weird scene.
or the second one.
I thought it was funny when Sarah Connor first shows up and she blows everything up and she's like, hang on, I'll be back, But then when Arnold is in the middle of like this like emotional moment and he's like, I won't be back. I was like, maybe in any other place besides that one. Because it was actually kind of like I was starting to buy that he had this family that somehow was not sexual and stuff, like, and then he had to say goodbye to him and he's like, I won't be back. I'm like, I don't know how, like, it's mixed feelings because like that's supposed to be funny, but I'm supposed to be like
it's kind of
empathizing right now. So it's like making me giggle about, I don't know, it was just a little cheesy.
Yeah, the whole that he grew a conscious thing, it rubs me really wrong. I mean, the whole fact, the idea behind the AI is that as the AI learns, it sees the humans are a threat, and then ultimately destroys humans. And so, like, if an AI is sit there and learn, it's supposed to think that, not like, oh, an AI is learning, I'm going to grow a conscience. And even in the second movie, he never grew a conscience, and even Sarah Connor, like at the end, was like kind of talking over it as like John was playing with the T-1000 or T-800.
He's the one who rewired him. Yeah.
Well, he didn't really rewire him at all. I mean, like,
or he jacked him
kind
up.
of like she had talked about how he was bonding with the robot, but the robot has no emotion.
That's right. There was that whole monologue she
at the end
had.
there.
That's right.
I guess that the opening scene with the young Sarah Connor and John Connor and stuff, I didn't know this. I read somewhere that was actually like body doubles that they had deep faked faces on or something.
Yeah, I had figured it had to be deep faked.
Or whatever the
looked really good.
Hollywood version is.
Crazy. It looked like him.
But
it was creepy to me.
The kid especially looked good.
Oh, and Andre even said, this is all going off what Andre said. He said that he's like, okay, well maybe the idea of John dying at the beginning was some writer, whatever, and then they just kept going along with it. He's like, nope, that was James Cameron. Was like, we should kill John Connor right at the beginning.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Pulling a George Lucas, like, hey, I made this thing. I can do what I want to it.
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up I had said on Instagram, and I got a few comments here too, that I think that this movie was a little confusing at first, but after the movie, I had figured out what the writers had done, and I liked what they did, and overall, I would say this is like the third best Terminator film.
I agree with that.
And then a friend Ricky jumped in and said that he thought it was a great movie, but among the sequels, he still likes Salvation more.
Really?
And he said just that the themes explored there were more varied and better characters, which I agreed, because that's kind of what I had just said earlier, was like the other, like Genesis and Salvation were way more based in technology and sci-fi and everything else, to where this was way more grounded as a movie, Dark Fate. So, I got where he was coming from. And then another, a friend of ours, Brian Connor, he said that his favorite for number one is T2. And actually, did he even... Yeah, he said Salvation as well.
T2 definitely has the rewatch value.
And I told him, he asked me what would be my number two spot. Or no, my number two spot, yeah. Because my number one spot is obviously T2. Mm-hmm. Number two would be T1.
Yeah.
And the reason I put T1 as my number two is because it was literally like a slasher film. It was like a horror film, but it was so 80s, like hardcore 80s, so 80s that Brian commented back that he can't even watch it. It's so hard to watch for him now.
Most people skip over T1 as just like a Terminator movie. Like they usually just start with T2.
Angie watched it without me one day when we were in college. Actually, I rented it, and she watched it without me, and she said it freaked her out.
Yeah,
T2?
T1.
T1, yeah, because it's a horror film.
And also it has like has that 80s vibe, the 80s music, kind of like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like that, and so it gives that like like constantly on it. What else was I going to say about that movie? I lost it.
I was going to say the end little piece to my little spiel here is that for Salvation, I guess none of the platforms or premium channels have access to having both for the rights for Genesis and for Salvation, so it's hard to find those
I was
movies.
looking for both of them before we watched the third for that new one.
And I guess like nobody wants to do it, add it because they didn't really do that
I don't
well.
think anybody really watch it, to be honest.
Genesis was a weird one for me. I mean, I also loved the concepts and things that they threw in the movie. I thought it was interesting, but as far as like the franchise goes, like I didn't really feel like it was a good fit. Salvation, on the other hand, I liked too. Not as much as I like Dark Fate, but for different reasons. I like them for different reasons.
See, I think their names are awful. I mean, come on, Salvation. There was no Salvation.
No,
that had anything to do with the movie.
I think Genesis was like
I guess,
closest.
Makes sense a little bit because they went back to the beginning,
right?
They spelled it all weird.
But it was the name of the corporation.
Is that what it was?
The Genesis Corporation.
Yeah. And then this one was like Dark Fate. It's like, well, what's the Dark Fate? It's the one that's always been. Like,
well, that was the thing. I think it's in my head. One of the writers or someone, James Cameron or whatever, what they were trying to say with this is that the future is inevitable. So if it wasn't going to be Skynet, it was going to be somebody else exactly the same. And that's the Dark Fate. But it came across as like running out of ideas because they killed off John Connor just to do the exact same thing again with different names.
Yeah,
it's like Legion,
no Skynet. Yeah,
it's like it's not Skynet, weird. It's Legion.
That's what I was like.
And somehow Legion, a totally different company, came up with the exact same design.
Exactly.
For Terminators.
And those two things, the word John Connor and Skynet are two things that like everybody knows. Right. Everybody's like attached to, and like, hey, let's butcher them both. Like, okay.
There was another thing. What was it? No, it was Legion. Oh, there was a point where the Rev 9 meets the T-800 for the first time in the movie, and the Rev 9 kind of looks at Arnold and he's like, "You're a," and he's like, "Yeah," he's like a 001 model Cyberdyne, because that was the name of the Skynet was built by Cyberdyne, and the ARM. They found that ARM or whatever in T2, or no, they had the ARM from T1.
Yeah, they had the ARM,
and they had built all this new technology off of the ARM. That's right. Okay, I'm just like slowly
piecing it back together.
Yeah, remembering all these things.
I saw an interview of Arnold and Linda Hamilton. Is that her name?
Oh yeah.
They were in an interview, and they said that when they were filming T1. It was not a big budget movie at all. She said like it was like $6 million.
Wow.
And then the second one was like 100 or 200 million or some craziness.
Yeah,
it's like, but so what they did is they didn't have permits for a lot of the shooting that they were shooting in around Hollywood. And James Cameron was literally like, okay, it's, we're on Sunset Boulevard. It's late at night. I need to get this shot. Arnold, you go over there and you break that car window. And he literally like went over there, and it's in the movie where he like breaks into a car window and grabs something. Like they just broke some dude's window.
That's awesome.
And then paid for it. The cops actually showed up.
No
That's
way.
so funny.
That's sick to think all the things they probably had to go through. And it's the 80s. I mean, it was scary. No, yeah. So overall, I mean, would you say that Dark Fate would be like your third favorite?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd watch it again. I mean, I just don't feel like it's very fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple of really funny things, throwbacks and whatnot, but I think the Terminator kind of franchise needs a good reboot.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's sad. You figure they would have found some way to up the ante. The only way I could think is like if they maybe brought in like aliens to where like they're like, hey, guess what? This happened on our planet too. We're here to help you out.
I think that's their next move.
I don't know. That's the only way I could see, because like I said, like once you get the Liquid Terminator, like you're kind of done.
Speaking of Liquid Terminator, that's where I thought they could be a little more like think of a cooler idea for or a Rev 9 or a Terminator, because they essentially used this very similar things in like Genesis and T2.
Yeah.
Where you have this like liquid thing, and then in Genesis it was like his body could like atomize and then reanimate onto the skeleton or whatever. And then this one, obviously it's like you have your exoskeleton and then you have the liquid guy too.
Endoskeleton or the
endoskeleton, and then the liquid guy too.
Because that actually would be a cool idea to have an exoskeleton one, so it's reverse instead of like you know what I mean, like
armored.
Yeah.
Or something. I do like combining franchises though. If like, what do they call it, Legion, or if they, I don't even want them to continue this.
That's the thing though, is like they made Legion out to be Skynet, but they didn't make Legion as mysterious as Skynet. Because I know Skynet we didn't see for what it was for a long time. But we got enough like little hints, like it's this, Doom, like kind of like this creepy
like Salvation that we got
thing.
To like really,
But like Legion, we just heard the names so many times. Like, but why do I need to care about this company? But they didn't give us any like little bits.
Yeah, it was just very surface. Like I didn't feel any depth in Dark Fate.
There's no good backstory to it.
Yeah, it's like more like rehashed ideas.
Even the emotional part where you're like, oh, I'm just you're actually my hero kind of deal. You're the person that saved me. Kind of like. Why would you send that person back? They have emotional baggage. Send the person that doesn't have emotional baggage back in time.
I love the augment, and this is the second time we've seen the augment. The first time was, I forget if it was Salvation or Genesis. Yeah, and like enhanced humans basically is what's going on there. I thought that was a great thing, and obviously she killed it. I thought, or damn, I already forgot her name again.
Yeah, I mean, to me as a kid, like I had a nerdy lunch table, and so like they talk a lot about like aliens and Predator and Freddy Krueger and Jason and stuff. And like, what if these people fought and like all excited about like this or that? And then obviously when we grow up, like those same kids go on to make stupid movies like Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
But the Terminator thing was always like, it'd be sweet to see the battles and whatnot of the future. Yeah. And we never really got to see that.
It's kind of like Cable from X-Men or Marvel. Like, I always wanted to see the Cable's side.
Yeah.
And we finally got to see a little bit of that in the cartoon, 92, 93 cartoon series where, like, you get to meet Forge and, like, the chick that was also there. I can't remember her name. And then Forge's buddy, too. I can't remember his name either now. And then seeing that future, that would have been awesome to be able to get into, like, where John Connor... And they did do that a little bit in Salvation and Genesis.
Salvation, like, I thought that's what it was going to be.
Right.
And they had John Connor, and they had the war, but, like, they didn't do anything. They just sat around, and, like, they're running again. It's the same exact thing. They're just running from the Terminator.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a dive into that. Not that I would have loved for them to have fleshed out that whole piece of the Bible. And for us to be able to get to see like the inner workings of the revolution and the war
of stuff that I wanted to see. Like I didn't ask for all this other stuff 3 through even this last one. I didn't ask for that, even though the last one wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I I just, what we really wanted to see was that fun, that war in the future, the futurized everything. That would have been sweet. I mean, I know Rise of the Machines was kind of like, oh, the machines have now kind of awakened and the future is now. Like, okay, well, all right. It's not really a rise. It's kind of like just the beginning, I guess.
Yeah. And Mackenzie Davis, that's her name. She was the augment. I thought she did a crazy good job on that.
Yeah, she was great.
Maybe even overacted a little, but I still liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked her as the thing. I mean, I thought it was fun, but that's also in a very casual way with very like low expectations going in. Like, I went in based on the reviews thinking it was just going to be like this hot mess and stuff, but I kind of have it in a little bit higher of a tier than like Venom for me. Like,
Yeah.
I probably won't sit down and watch it again, but like I'll have it on.
Yeah.
I might even get it if it's on a good sale or something just to have around, and stuff. Because like I don't know, I'm just a sucker for those like 90s aesthetics things. And to me, like I had like an homage to that in the look and the aesthetic of it. But then again, like I feel like maybe if I understood more about the timeline, I would be more disappointed. But like it was okay. Like
That's fine.
we also got to see it in Dolby Cinema, so maybe I was swayed by like the subwoofer in my seat.
It's really funny because like
nice.
I was, you had, they try to make you kind of feel attached to the characters in the movie. Of all the characters in the movie that I actually got a little bit attached to, the person I didn't get attached to was the girl that was meant to be the next John Connor. I don't know. I just didn't I didn't feel it at all.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel like she had any real importance other than like, hey, in the future, you're going to do this thing. Okay. So in the future, that's what you're going to do. Like,
I get you.
like the one girl where she's like, hey, you saved me. And, all right, cool. Like the augment girl.
Yeah.
Even Sarah Connor, you're like, okay, she's, trying to do this for her son. Even the T-800, little man, like, oh, he's got a family now,
An aged Terminator.
So, man, I don't know.
I do like the old Arnold, like the aged Arnold's like humor, or he's like, call me Carl. He's like, I'm never gonna fucking call you Carl. And then when he's like, if the relationship's not physical, then what is it? She's like, I change diapers without question. I'm not like emotional, and I'm quite funny. I was like, that was a good one.
Now here's the kicker is, I don't even know if these numbers are right because this is just Wikipedia. But we have a budget of between 185 and 196 million dollars, and then box office at 200 million or 200.9.
Ouch.
So, and then down here it says that they had a marketing budget of about the same money.
So
Yeah.
they lost.
So they lost.
Yeah,
Hard.
didn't say they were on the road to lose like 120 million or something like that.
Yeah, it's basically that marketing budget was 80 to 100 million. So they pretty much lost that. They made back on the movie, but all that marketing money is gone.
I feel like they marketed the movie very much. And I remember at the very beginning, the first thing that they released was kind of like the Sarah Connor thing, like the very beginning where she basically, they called her like Nancy or whatever. I can't remember. like Susan. Like, oh, she's a Susan. I need to call the manager because of her haircut or whatever.
Oh,
it was.
Susan, yeah.
It's like maybe that wasn't the best image and everything else to lead with, guys.
Well, yeah, it kind of ages it
A little bit.
right away.
No, I think we did actually get to talk to one of the guys that was part of the marketing for Dark Fate.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned that because they keep track of all the analytics of when Terminator's trending and stuff online. They said the biggest bump they got was when Terminator dropped on MK11. It rose the awareness of Dark Fate like infinitely more than the other marketing they had done.
I'm sure.
And it was like,
'Cause it's kind of like ingrained in the game.
yeah.
So
Which
That was cool.
kind of comes back to your point of him interacting with other characters and stuff. Because I mentioned this last podcast, like him dropping into Mortal Kombat, whoever the writers are for Mortal Kombat 11, had made a really interesting story about why he's there and stuff. He just kind of got dropped in this random timeline. Now he's just kill everything because everything here is problematic. Because this demon, there's an ice ninja, there's a rogue lightning god, Keeper of Time is going to blow everything up. We got to fix all this.
Yep. Well, I think that's enough of that.
It was fine.
Yeah.
All right.
I
It was good.
dug it, but it is You know
There's
what?
some killer action scenes.
I did see a kind of a couple reviews that summed up in like it's a chance because you have to give it some stuff, and you might not be okay with that.
Yeah.
But if you are okay with it, then it's fine. So it did drop into the action like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting future of events. Like following T2, it's a interesting, like killing John Connor right in front. That's
The very beginning.
That's what confused me. I was like, wait, like okay, so this is like they're gonna write this third movie. Like they're just gonna rewrite it.
All that aside, I really think that all the crap that it was given was just very similar to Dark Phoenix, to where like Dark Phoenix wasn't that horrible of a movie.
Yeah.
But the blast, how many,
Oh god.
and
yeah.
the whole idea, the whole continuity of the X-Men being just crap in general had soured the public to where they're like, I don't care about Dark Phoenix at all.
There was that, but then it's kind of like what you said about Terminator. The longer I sat with Dark Phoenix, the more I was like, even isolated, it was just there was so many things like just as its own isolated movie, like just seeing the relief on Jennifer Lawrence's face when she died, you know, and also for it to be so inconsequential.
My contract has been released.
Yeah,
Take
and-
me away.
like that. Nothing like they never ended up in space for a big battle.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, I know that happened because of reshoots and stuff, but it was like, man, like the whole point of the movie from an outsider's point of view would have been like, oh, Space Lady gets possessed and like infinite power that we'll never get to see or go to space. You know, it's like,
Yep.
oh man, you know,
Yeah, there's just so much.
we're going to be in a train and other people are going to do stuff.
That was a cool.
It was a
thing,
cool sequence.
But that's not Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
Or Phoenix, yeah.
But also, it wasn't the setup of that particular movie,
Yeah.
even if you took the Phoenix away, you know?
It'd almost have to be like an Avengers kind of thing, where there's multiple movies where like she gets the Phoenix, she slowly starts to lose it. There's problems, you know.
It needs to be at least a 2-movie thing.
Yeah.
Probably a trilogy. And like a Thanos type situation.
Yeah.
Where it's like built in the undercurrent.
You get Lalandra in it. You get you know, just
That's what I want. Is the whole Shi'ar series.
yeah, Shi'ar Empire.
There could be a whole movie of just the Shi'ar stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want it. I want it. Make it, please.
Please, Disney Plus, do it.
I want to see. I want to see Professor X fall in love. Not really. That's like the least important part.
All right, what do we got? What do you got?
Lalandra just kind of like jumped his bones too. She didn't even like ask him first.
She's a queen. Or is she a princess? That doesn't matter.
No, she's the queen.
Okay.
Is she queen? Yeah, it's queen.
The guy that played Colossus in the old X-Men,
Yeah.
Okay.
he's going to be in the new Marvel Hailstrom series on Hulu.
Nice.
So I guess apparently there are going to be some things on Hulu that Marvel's going to have still.
Interesting.
This further
weird.
This further proves my conspiracy theory that in a year it'd be like, oh, surprise, Hulu's absorbed in Disney Plus.
Well, I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe they'll keep it to where like, oh, hey, this stuff over here that's maybe a little bit darker.
Yeah.
We'll keep it over there.
I am looking really forward to seeing The Mandalorian to see like how like PG-13 that thing gets, you know?
I'm just excited to continue for a kid like the kid in me. Let me start over. So Star Wars, like just like Marvel, like we want to see these comics and books that we read back when we were kids on these big screens. You know, we want to see them fleshed out. We want to see them awesome, and you know, to be able to watch The Mandalorian and see the continuations of these stories and getting to kind of relearn the world of Star Wars. I love that so much that it continues.
I think last time I said like, you know, you need to really focus on something that's not like the main Skywalker legacy.
Right.
I mean, that's why Rogue One did so well. Comparatively, at least did well for the fans.
Yeah.
Those that are fans. So like
This is a great movie.
Mandalorian, I've already heard great things from. I haven't seen it yet. We just got Disney Plus today.
Yes.
The only thing I did watch was Endgame extras, which they have extra stuff. You know that scene that they said was cut at the end of the movie with Tony Stark and Morgan? It's there.
That's weird because I have the Endgame Blu-ray and it doesn't have that. So
I know.
So they
So
added
people were saying.
extras to Disney Plus.
There's more than
what
that.
a brilliant move, but also a little
pretty
frustrating because I can't archive that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about that too. Remember when we saw the clip of Samuel L. Jackson saying different stuff from the first Iron Man movie? We're like, wait a minute, I bet there's just a ton of extra stuff that they cut. They're like, we're just gonna save this.
Oh wait,
later.
You know,
That's
I
cool.
got that mixed up. The Sam Jackson stuff wasn't on the end game, but the funeral scene, what the extended thing was, the kneeling thing was in the Blu-ray.
The kneeling thing was.
Yeah.
But not like this, the way station place. You know, like when Thanos snapped the first time and he saw Gamora in the red way station. And she'd asked him, like, what did it cost? And he's like, everything.
Oh, yeah.
The same thing happens.
Oh,
Tony snaps his fingers and he went to the way station and he sees grown up Morgan.
Oh yeah, the girl from 13 Reasons
13,
Why.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Interesting. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
Cool.
I don't know. I don't really like the scene very much, but I mean, like, I'm glad. I know why they cut it. It didn't really feel very good. The one thing that I did, they showed the scene where Hawkeye and Natasha
Yeah.
are at Vormir and they're talking about it, and all of a sudden Thanos comes
Ooh.
and they're fighting Thanos. There's like an alternate way she dies, and I actually like that way better.
Interesting.
I was like, oh wow. Wow.
So I really want to see this Sonic trailer.
Yeah, you want to watch it? All right, I'll have to pause it again. We're gonna watch the new Sonic trailer because the new Sonic trailer came out. How different is it from the original?
Yeah.
Even just the way they cut it, man.
Yeah,
Is it
Right.
now? Before we watch this, did they like completely change the trailer, or did they just take what they had?
It's completely different.
Whoa.
they have a lot of scenes that are the same because they have
There's some new scenes, but there's a lot new scenes. It
There's a lot
like
of stuff
actually,
that's cut different.
Andre actually was like, "Please, hopefully they didn't just show us every scene with Sonic in it, because there was a lot of scenes in it. Like it might have been the whole movie."
Oh, interesting. All right, yeah, let's check this out. Wow, that was really cool, and it was super cute
It's
and-
definitely cut way better.
and super like stupid funny, like silly funny. I don't know. I'm kind of ready for that. There were some things in there that made me think that he had control of warping to different dimensions, I guess. Because at that last scene, you
Yeah,
see
the
him
ring.
throw the ring out.
They actually had that in the other trailer too, but you just
Okay.
it's flashed pretty quick.
So you don't really
You're so
understand
distracted
what
by
you're
the
seeing.
horrible character design.
Exactly.
And then the old one, he gets down on a highway, long strip of highway, and then he does that supersonic fast thing, and that's what knocks the power out. This time, he plays baseball with himself, and that's what knocks the power
That's
out.
just a
I think
cut.
that's just the trailer, because trailers always cut together scenes that aren't part together.
Okay. Yeah, no, I dug that. I thought that was really cool.
It was definitely more fun.
This is a lot of fun.
Definitely not scary
No.
looking.
He looked like Sonic.
Yeah.
You know, and to interestingly enough, to see like a 3D Sonic world in the beginning there, where he takes that ramp and then he takes another like kicker right off into the ring. I guess that's when he dips into the different dimension. It's pretty crazy, pretty gnarly. I feel like I'm gonna have to do some edibles and then go watch that.
Yeah, it finally, like, because the first one had Gangster's Paradise in it.
Yeah,
And so
which is
everybody
odd.
was like, okay, so 90s, get that. But like we don't know enough about Sonic. Is it funny because he's not a gangster? Like what's going on here? But this one, it was like as soon as they dropped into Supersonic, it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
How are you not dead? I don't know. So it's like stupid funny.
Yeah. I mean, it has a whole different feel. Like I watched the other trailer afterwards and I was
Yeah.
like, well, it's just completely the different feel to the trailers. And not to mention, I mean, he just looks different. I saw somebody post a picture. It was like, we should just go see this movie just because they listened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
I mean, support listening.
Yeah.
Because God knows the world needs more listening and less speaking.
I think also like I think it's going to be kind of like the Addams Family movie. It's going to be great,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's not going to be as like blockbustery that it would be. That would be awesome, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Here's a picture of before
yeah.
stretching and after stretching. I have it up on our Yellow Spandex
saw that.
Instagram.
You see, that wasn't that easy.
See, wasn't that hard?
Wow. Yeah, that is a vast difference.
I mean, I think last time we talked about this, Rod was like, I wonder if they did this on purpose.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of is not a unique idea. It's like there's some people that were like, was it a marketing thing? I don't know. I mean,
I don't think so. That'd be a lot of money to blow on, because the
Yeah.
other one, he's in the other preview quite a bit as the other Sonic, to actually have to render that and design
Yeah.
that and then to redesign it on purpose. That seems like a really weird marketing gimmick. I don't think I'd follow that, but if so, it paid off.
I don't remember the old trailer where their Sonic was as like snippy, snappy, like witty.
I think you
As
can't.
this one?
I think you just can't get past his look to like take him. To, you know what I mean?
Like consume what's happening because it's such like an oddity.
If you want to watch the second one, I can pull the original one. I can pull it up.
maybe we'll.
I think even watching it though, like you know, everybody judges people by their appearances. So like he could be saying the exact same thing, and you'd be like, the cuter one wins.
Yeah, it just feels different. Yeah, let's watch this other one.
All right, hold on.
Okay, so yeah, that was a vast difference.
It wasn't even fun. I felt like there's like a couple scenes we laughed in, but like the rest of it's just.
I have to say, Jim Carrey is still like to this day one of my favorite people on earth. His comedy, it just gets me in all the right ways. It's funny because like someone else can act that exact same way, and I won't think it's that funny.
Yeah,
it's because it's Jim Carrey that makes it so freaking hilarious.
He stretches his faces in just the right ways.
He's so animated. I don't know. I just like love watching him do his work, man. It's so crazy.
And somebody pointed out, like, even though the movie might be like this and just kind of like not the most, what's the word, like continuous, like thing. That first trailer, particularly had like one thing like after the other that like that kind of confuse you even if you didn't notice it. So like he's supposed to go so fast that all the missiles are like around him, like almost in still, and he's able to like flick them off. But then like 2 seconds before he got shot with like a dart.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, the mixed messages.
Yeah.
This one.
You ever watch The Flash? I don't know. It's like, oh, I lost that bad guy. Like, wait a minute. You can run around the entire city in like 20 seconds and you just lost a bad guy?
Whatever feeds the plot.
Exactly.
That's so funny. So yeah, I'm excited for that now. It looks way better. I feel like the comedy's like snappier, faster.
It's definitely a way better cut trailer.
Yeah, good trailer looked great.
They knew dropping this trailer. They were like, we have to have something good.
Yeah, like blow them out of the water.
Yeah. The redesign was great.
I think they nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Well, he looks
I wouldn't
like
have cared
Sonic.
about it. I don't think I would have cared about it at all if the
just
first
started
trailer was just
like that.
Yeah, exactly. I would have been like, whatever.
That's and I saw a few comments today that people were like, I don't know why they just didn't start it like this,
No, we wouldn't have been talking about it.
Yeah,
that's why.
True.
That's why it was kind of like
they wanted to make a buzz.
Don't want to do too much conspiracy theory, but it wouldn't have been the dumbest thing to blow a marketing budget on redoing a few scenes. Because like not to, just go full like tinfoil hat mode. Mm-hmm. So like if the trailer were the only things that were rendered in that weird design, even if those took like several thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars to redo or do twice and stuff, that's like a drop in the bucket for a marketing budget of a movie of that scale. So if instead of paying like PewDiePie to shout it out on YouTube or like buy a billboard in Hollywood, they're like, let's just do a trailer. It's kind of crazy,
like
and
falsity.
then wait a few months and then put it out on Valentine's Day. That I don't know, but I mean,
it's a good strategy.
It's probably not that.
Yeah.
But if it was, I wouldn't blame them for spending the money in that direction.
If it was, that's absolutely freaking brilliant and devious at the same time.
Yeah. Somebody's
And
like,
I hope nobody else does it.
Somebody there's like, yeah, we meant to do that.
The reason I kind of understand it is because like, was it Beyonce's Lemonade album? People kind of attribute it to like, it's kind of like the Trump method, It's like people are going to say what they're going to say, so you might as well get paid off of it. So like Beyonce's Lemonade album supposedly about Jay-Z cheating on her and stuff, and there's people like, well, he really did or he really didn't and stuff, but then the smart people are like, it doesn't matter. People think that he did, so she's just going to make a whole album about it anyway.
Make money off of it.
And both of them go home with the bank, like.
And to half the people, it doesn't even matter if
it's
true or not.
And that can go the other way too. This is not a conspiracy. I don't know if they're together or not, but if they weren't, not the dumbest thing to make it appear that you were,
right?
To get paid, and then have a bunch of drama. I don't know. Like it's just like if people. Now that we've been in like kind of the entertainment business long enough, it is devious, but in my head, it's kind of like, well, if the public's going to think a certain way, I'm not opposed to separating money from stupid people, So like,
it's a philosophy they probably like.
Well, just because the option is to fight it, right?
Right.
To like try to like, no, it's not like that, and be poor.
Yeah.
So if you're like, yeah, that's it. How much? Just charge the card here. You're like,
Take my money.
So apparently, you know how like George Lucas has kind of chopped up the old versions of the Star Wars, like added scenes on top of scenes on top of other things.
yeah,
Apparently, the whole Han shot first thing,
yeah.
they changed that again.
Ha.
And so like, along with your tinfoil hat,
Yeah.
and like some people were saying, I bet they're just going to slightly change this forever, just so the people can keep talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not a bad idea, but you're kind of messing with people's heads too, which I guess is that's the whole point, is to mess with people's heads. It's not a great thing to do to people, obviously, but
Yeah. I was never a fan of any of the added scenes ever. Like, I didn't think they did anything for the movie. It was just like George Lucas was like, "Hey, I got this amazing CGI team. Let's see what I can do." Like, you know,
right.
And I don't know, the whole changing to where the scene where Greedo shot first and then Han shot him. Like, I don't understand why they did that.
I also they made, I forget which movie it was, where they're in the like the Empire. They were on one of the destroyer ships or whatever, and they had just captured the Millennium Falcon, and you see everybody come off, and that's that movie where Obi-Wan dies fighting.
The first one.
Yeah, where Han Solo walks over Jabba's tail.
Yeah.
And then in those like remakes, they made him like hop over the tail.
That scene was brand new.
Yeah.
They just added that scene in, and they computer animated it. That scene was never in the original.
Right, because Jabba was a person. He was a human in
well,
the
it was
first
a giant
shot.
puppet. No, he wasn't in that.
I thought, he wasn't even there.
He was not. That scene was not in it at all.
Okay, so
Jabba, you never saw Jabba until the third movie.
So I was told that it was Jabba was like just like a human in that scene.
Well, I think they
cut.
did when they did do that scene.
Yeah, and that's why
Savi
Han
was
just
a done
walks.
scene. Yeah, he walks around him, but like that was never in the movie ever. So it was just an extra scene where he's like, I wanted to do this, and so I'm going to do it with CG now, and it looks awful. It looks absolutely just
It's
awful.
weird.
But this one, I guess, like they just added like him screaming McClunkey or something, McClunky, like Greedo.
Oh yeah.
Like before he shoots him, McClunky, and shoots him. That's the only thing they added.
Weird.
And George Lucas apparently told them to do it.
It's like
And so
that's
they
his
did it.
native language in his tongue.
Yeah,
tongue,
I mean, like, because
tongue.
Greedo does talk in it, and like they, have subtitles underneath it.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, like McClunky shoots him and
Boom,
then
boom.
misses him, and Han gets him.
Under the table,
It's
right?
Weird. Yeah.
That's so weird, to think that they're just still messing around with it, and that it could just be for marketing's sake.
I was hoping that when this Disney Plus thing dropped, that they were all the originals, or at least you could switch back and forth. Someone would actually put all of them together on like a YouTube clip. I had added it to the pocket here, but it didn't show up apparently, to where you could press play and it would literally show like, this is the original, this is the next, this is the next, and the slowly you'd see the ad. I think there's 4 or 5 different versions.
Whoa.
Of the just them keep screwing with that one scene. Like, why? It makes no sense.
So weird.
I saw that there was another. I haven't. So Vince and I don't have Disney Plus yet. We're probably gonna get it tonight or tomorrow. But I saw that another not controversy, but like weird complaint is that The Simpsons, in previous formats like the FX app, you could choose between 16:9 and 4:3 aspect ratio, but for everything before season 9 or whatever, and or whenever they went to HD, and they said in Disney Plus it defaults to 16:9, but it's stretched.
Oh,
And so it's
that's
like
not good.
So I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I'd like
Don't
that.
just stretch it.
Yeah, it's a new app. They may just have to
Yeah.
patch it.
Well, there was a lot of people talking about how the app was kind of finicky today.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it is the launch day, and it is Disney.
Oh,
I don't know.
it's
how
just
you could
weird as-
prepare for that.
I
saw-
expected traffic to be ridiculous.
I saw a bunch of reports about that, like it's just not working for people. Nobody I personally know has been the case. Like people I personally know have like been watching. They watched The Mandalorian, they loved it. You know, like
Well, like I watched a bunch of the clips today and stuff, and it was kind of laggy. Like it would catch up every once in a while, and like it wasn't my internet connection, so you can just tell like a lot of people were watching it. It's the first day.
Yeah, to be expected.
I got a list here of possible Storm actresses. I
Ooh.
thought Rod might be interested.
totally.
There you go.
I actually kind of hope that I don't know most of these people because I'm not opposed to an unknown.
They seem relatively dark too, so you might be happy.
Let's see here.
Kiki Lane.
Sounds familiar, but I'm not
I don't know.
familiar with her.
She
looks familiar. Who's that? Hart?
Naomi King?
Oh, yeah.
How to Get Away with Murder?
Yeah. Oh, that might be cool.
Yeah.
I won't know until I see
In the costume.
in action, too, you know? Ooh.
Ooh, Anna.
Oh, I thought that was somebody else.
Isn't that what it is?
She looked like she could pull it off.
She got them eyes. I
Yeah.
think that works. I don't know who that is. Yataid Badaki?
This is like a list of like the most beautiful like brown skinned women on earth. Like this is insane.
I'll put the link in the. We're just going through because Rod obviously lovely has
Storm.
a
Love-hate relationship with
she
Storm.
would be who's this?
Yaya DaCosta.
She'd be an interesting take on Storm. That's not who I originally pictured, but it has a very like cool, like exotic, like hippie vibe, you know.
She kind of reminds me of the actress that did Domino.
Yeah, a little bit.
Zazie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she looks strong enough. But I'm looking at it's Anna Diop. I don't know how to say her last name.
Oh.
She looks. I feel like Storm needs to be like a stern, strong woman to where like she looks like she has the eyes for it and like the sternness for it. She looks like she's too kind.
Yeah.
Naomi King. She looks like she's too kind in her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Aja.
Yeah. Is that what Aja?
Maybe. I don't know.
Asia.
Aja.
I don't know.
Asia.
I have no idea.
The top of that article had like the banner. That
Yeah.
they don't even show that the second actress there.
Yeah. Well, these are just 4. I think there's more.
I know it's probably asking too much, but I would actually love it if Storm was kind of unapproachable, like in demeanor. You know, like that model that I pointed out last week. She looks like somebody who would be like, okay, she's amazing, but I'm too afraid to like approach her. You know, like I kind of do that vibe. Like who's
Which
this?
is funny because that model you talked about was going around the internet quite a bit. Like people wanted her to be Storm.
That's cool.
That's assuming like
She's just a model. She looks like she's just a cosplay person.
It's like, do you have acting skills? But the
Exactly.
look, like that's a good like model to like that's how a Storm should look. Ooh,
DeWanda Wise. She looks like she could do it too.
yeah.
She got
Good facial features.
yeah.
She kind of reminds me of Grace Jones a little bit.
Was it Tiana Paris? She looks too happy.
Yeah.
She got
See,
too big of a smile.
The key to the Storm casting is not to have smiling headshots.
That's right.
She's definitely too kind. Who's that?
Ashley Blaine Featherson.
I don't know. Well, we'll see though. Like people get mean, you know. Like
You never know.
Ooh.
With, like,
She
makeup.
looks good.
She'd be cool.
Deborah. I can't. I'm not even gonna try.
I wish I could. I don't know most of these actresses. Like I wish I could see like some actual like in action like stuff. I'll probably go home and like look this up because that's really the thing is like how they carry themselves. You know.
She was in Luke Cage. She was the waitress that was in one of the seasons.
Oh, I would not remember
That's,
that.
at a glance, I thought it was the robotic
Mariah?
arm. Yeah.
Not Mariah.
Not Mariah.
Oh my goodness, my brain hurts too
Yeah, I
much.
can't think of the cop with the cybernetic arm.
Yeah,
It's Misty Knight.
there you go. Gosh, I'm too old, Vince. I can't remember all these freaking characters.
Yeah.
Ooh, she would be an interesting take on Storm.
She's got kind of like a
Who's this?
robotic look. Tika Sumpter.
Tika Masala.
These are all like
Delicious.
these are all like multiverse versions that I could see happening. She looks too young. Who's that?
Was she the girl that was in
I don't know what her name is.
Ryan Destiny?
That sounds like an Instagram model's name.
She was on Star. I don't know.
Oh, you know what? We saw her. We were at the season finale of season 1, so that's probably where we recognize her from. She to me she looks a little young, but if there was like a younger like Punk Storm or whatever, I could see some of these people working. I don't know, any of those I think are viable options, assuming they're good actresses. It's just gonna kind of see like how they carry themselves, because they got to carry themselves either as like a punk rocker or like a goddess and stuff. And like I said, I think it might be asking too much, but I would love for there to be like a totally like unapproachable, like godlike kind of character, that's just, I don't know, like I almost feel like she shouldn't be relatable, but that's just kind of how I always saw Storm, because she was, But then again, we also do see like young Storm and stuff, and I don't know what I want with that. Just not Halle Berry. Like
I don't think they'd bring her back.
yeah. Well, just it. Either like I would rather them just like not put her in it than to do it wrong, because like it's worse seeing her as like this kind of like what's the word, like subordinate character, you know, like just that, I don't know, like it's just she's not in control of anything, but her literal power is to control almost everything, you know, like
Yeah.
She got to keep herself in check at all times.
yeah.
So she's got to be a strong person.
Yeah, and then also, you know, like just her various storylines. You know, she had a very hard upbringing. Also, no one has brought. I actually they might have brought this up in the original X-Men movies, but not to like the level. But like Storm is like classically claustrophobic, and in the animated series, they made that very known.
Yeah.
Like throughout, and I feel like if they did, they probably did it in the X-Men movies, but it wasn't like a big point for her, which I feel like it should have been like real critical moment.
I don't
in
remember
one of the
her ever
films.
having a problem.
You probably
in the
didn't
movies.
then. So like even that scene where she was stuck in the elevator, she flew out.
Yeah.
That was a missed moment of her just being like freaked out and then blasting her way out, and that's what like made her like be crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, instead it was just her. She was just pissed off that Toad did something to her. You know, like it could have. That was like a time that it could have been like, oh, she's trapped in a crushed elevator. Like no, and then like you know something.
Instead, she says one of the most classic lines ever. What happens to a toad when it gets hit by lightning?
Everything else.
The same thing that happens to everything else. And then I lose my accent.
And then I drink vodka.
Gosh.
That should have just been the red flag of like we gotta cancel the series.
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, oh, you broke it.
was that the first? Was that the first one or the second
Yeah, that was
one?
the first one.
It's the first ever.
Maybe that's why, like, when most people are like, oh, I walked out of that movie, I thought it was fine at the time. I remember succinctly, like, not being okay with it when I walked out of it. Maybe that was one of the moments that was just like, okay,
Yeah.
we have one, I guess.
I think I remember there's somebody that had it that I think Ryan Singer maybe came to somebody's school or whatever, and they'd asked him like they had like a Q&A, and they're like, oh, any questions? And the kid raises his hand, he's like, what happens when a toad gets hit by lightning? And he's like, I wasn't there when we filmed that. Or something like bullcrap. You still approved it.
Yeah.
But also, why weren't you there when they filmed it?
Exactly.
That's one of the principal actors.
Yeah. What else weren't you there for?
Anything.
I didn't show up at all. Oh.
Doing questionable things with other people.
Oh man.
So wrap up.
So that's all part of Disney Plus 2 then, right? X-Men.
I don't
all
think we
those?
scratched the top of Disney Plus. I think it'll give us a good week. Next week we'll talk more about it.
I honestly don't know because I don't remember seeing the X-Men movies in that Twitter post.
Okay.
So they might not be added yet.
I could actually look right now.
So it's just the newer Marvel films.
and
Yeah, I'm
only
assuming it's all Disney
and
Marvel.
only like 7 to 10 of them or something like that.
Okay, so it's not the whole catalog.
Okay, let's take a look here.
Or at
Hold
least
on.
not yet.
Because they're still tied up in other
X-Men.
licensing things.
Well, you'd assume because they own Fox and all the Fox movies that they'd own the X-Men movies, but not a single X-Men movie is on Disney.
I think they own them, but they're just not like loaded to the thing or whatever, you know, like
Not available, not loaded.
When they were having when they were kind of fighting with Fox a few years ago, they took a lot of X-Men comics off the shelves. Like they basically stopped making X-Men comics. Same thing with Fantastic Four. And that might be what they're doing here.
honestly, I wouldn't blame them. Just be
Yeah.
like, let's just forget these happened, you know? Like I've for new listeners, I've always made this metaphor of like the original X-Men movies are kind of like the racist grandpa. Like you're appreciative for them because you're here because of them, but they're still not right. And you can't support a lot of aspects of it. And so in that sense, like I'm thankful that it ushered in what we have now.
Yeah.
But they still weren't right, and I can't support. So if we can just kind of like bury it and appreciate what it did for us without actually ever having to experience it again, great.
I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I'd say that without the X-Men,
Yeah.
because we had Blade right before it, but Blade basically did nothing for Marvel Comics. Without the X-Men movies, we wouldn't have Marvel. MCU is what we have today. I mean, it blazed the way, regardless of how crappy that first movie is.
Yeah, it's first of its kind.
That's what I'm saying, though. If you think about like that, or even if it's not your grandpa, like some like generation above you that has like ideals that are completely wrong. You know, like they own slaves, you know, but their business is what brought your family fortune to be where you are now. Like you're like, okay, so grateful for that, not grateful for the way it got there. There's like just pieces. It's just all like kind of interwoven, you know, like sure, okay.
It's like
we're
pizza.
here
No, just playing. We didn't create it,
I'm not sure if slavery.
but it's because somebody created it.
I'm
that
not
we were
comparing it
able
to slavery. I'm saying that like there are things that are fundamentally wrong in like the nothing like there's more wrong with like the X-Men movies than there is done right. And like in a much less severe sort of way, it's like somebody that you have to love, but you wouldn't agree with if they weren't related.
Okay.
You know, like I said, like, you know, if you were born into like if you were born into a family that like was rich because they did something awful, you're like, okay, well, I can't take it back now. I'm here because of it. You know, like, but we're just, I don't know, you know, like, you know, you can't
choose your family.
Can't completely disown. So we can't ignore that the X-Men movies happened.
Exactly.
We can appreciate what it did for us.
Yeah,
But we never have to acknowledge it again.
that's all right.
They do have all three.
like-
Well, I guess all three. They all have X-Men Evolution, Wolverine and the X-Men, and the original '92 Marvel X-Men
Sweet,
cartoons.
Yeah.
sweet.
I don't know if you've never seen Wolverine and the X-Men. I would encourage you to because it's really good.
Yeah,
There's only one season.
I've seen one episode. It's probably the first.
It gets
episode.
really good after the second or third episode.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
X-Men Evolution, I would say to ignore because I can't stand that show.
I watched a few episodes of that and just couldn't get into the art.
Oh, weird.
The art was weird.
Art was weird too, but like the whole like, hey, we're gonna make it a high school, like an actual like, hey, this is high school. Like
It was like a Teen Titans,
Mystique's like the
for
yes.
X-Men.
Yeah, it was kind of like Teen Titans, only a little bit more serious.
Right.
Where they're like, I don't know. Well, I guess the older Teen Titans. I'm talking about maybe Teen Titans Go.
Or what was it?
Goofy.
What was the one that they were where they were older? It was a really good series.
In Young Justice.
Yes, that was
Midlife Crisis Titans.
Seriously.
Are they always teenagers?
The
been
name is
teenagers.
Teen Titans.
They've been teenagers for 30 years.
Yeah.
Cool. I know some people like that.
Oh man, yeah. So that's probably about it for this episode.
Yeah.
I hope you guys watch the new Terminator. Let us know how you feel about it. If you got anything to say, these are up on YouTube. You can also review our channel on Podbean.
Yeah, Podbean. We get most of our followers right now.
Yeah, and welcome to all you new listeners. Hopefully you guys dig the yellow spandex.
Yeah.
And if you're new here, yellow spandex, of course, is because we want the real deal. We don't want these black matching outfits in X-Men. That's part of the fundamentally wrong parts that Rod had just mentioned. We want the yellow spandex on Wolverine. We want the blue spandex on Cyclops, the blue and yellow. We want that green and yellow spandex on Rogue. We want Rogue to actually be Rogue.
If you're a crab, you're going to be a crab.
Yeah. You better be a crab.
Good callback and transition to the end here. That was a good callback. So, thanks for listening. Appreciate that. This is Vince. Rod's over there. Josh. We all have our own socials as well. You can check out RKVC. You can check out Band's Life. You just type those words into Google and you'll find some stuffs.
Yeah. It's also in all links are in the show notes. So
Yeah. And once again, thanks for all the new listeners for coming in and for all you guys that have been sticking around. We appreciate it here at Yellow Spandex. Thanks, guys.